Hello everyone, good morning.
Good morning, Sai.
Good morning everyone.
Morning, Sai.
Good morning. Okay, so shall we start our class?
Yes, Sai.
Okay. So yesterday we have seen volume mapping, right? So what we have done, we have created a container and we have created another container, and we have created one volume. Okay, and actually what we have done, we have created Docker file. From that we have created an image. From that we have created container. From that container, we have declared the volume. In that, while creating new container, we have shared that volume. Whatever data we keep here, that we can see here. Whatever data you keep here, that we can see from here. Right? That's what we have seen. As well as one more thing, similar kind of thing we have seen. That same, instead of creating a Docker file and this one, directly we have created container and we have declared that one as a volume, and we can share. This one also we have seen. Okay, this is what container to container mapping. Container to container mapping. Now what we are going to see here. Now it's a host to container. Host to container. For example, this is my base machine. Base machine in the sense EC2 machine. This is my base EC2 machine. Okay, EC2, not my laptop base. Base machine means where you install Docker. That is your base machine. So it's my EC2 machine, and I have one container. Now I want to map one volume from here. That's what one directory I want to map. That's what we have volume mapping from host to container. Okay, so let's see how can we map. Okay, it's very easy, guys. Very easy. So let me log into my code. One small thing is actually yesterday accidentally I have terminated my Docker machine. So let me launch one machine again. I even forgot to enable that delete on termination. So okay, let me launch one new machine quickly. Docker 6 AM security. Review and launch. So let's keep that. Select the keyboard. Launch instance. Okay, what I'll do, instance settings, change termination protection. You also enable this one, guys, so that you cannot terminate your machine accidentally. Now it won't allow. You cannot terminate this one. It won't allow you to terminate this machine. So here, like that. Fine. Now let's go inside this machine. So I think one slide pending, right? How to install Docker. That link I need to share you, I think. Did I share that one, guys? Actually, we have taken Amazon machine, which is already having Docker inside in that one. So that's why we haven't installed Docker. So did I share that link, guys, in your WhatsApp? How to download Docker from internet?
No.
No, right? Okay. Today I'll share. Okay. Fine. So yum install docker minify. Okay. Service docker start. Okay, fine. Now let's see host to container. Now for that command is very simple, guys. Docker run -it -name. Let's do any container name. For example, okay, NIT Naresh IT container. What I'm doing here, okay, don't give anything. Okay, Ubuntu. Let's take an image. /bin. That's it. That means right now I'm creating one simple container, right? Docker run -it -name container Ubuntu. That's a simple container I'm creating. And since Ubuntu image is not there, it is a fresh machine. Now it will pull that Ubuntu image from Docker Hub. Okay, it will pull from Docker Hub. Fine. Now, if you want to map one folder from your base machine and one folder from your container, so what we'll do? First, let's see which folder you want to map from your base machine. So if you type pwd, see under main root directory. See guys, if you want, you have typed a command. If you want to exit from that command without executing that one, if you want to exit from that command without actually running that command, you need to press Ctrl C. So it'll be in the next one. Next line, the command won't get executed. See here, if I type pwd, it is showing under slash. We have a folder called home, and inside that we have a folder called ec-user. Here, ec-user is not a user; it's a folder here. That's what here cd /. Ls, it's a folder under home. It's a folder because when you log in as a ec-user, one folder will be created on his name. So right now you'll be inside. You are inside ec folder. So cd ec folder. That means I have a folder called ec-user. Okay, so I want to take this folder from my base machine. This folder from my base machine, and I want to map this folder from my base machine. So let's see what is the command. So this is a command just to create container. So what I'll do here, -b, I want to map a volume. So take the folder from your base machine. So take this complete directory, or else you can take simply ec-user because you are in the same level, right? Better to take this one. Better to take the complete level so that it won't throw any errors. Okay, that means indirectly you are mapping only this folder only. Just you are giving the path. Okay, ec-user colon, for example, /raj. That means, see here, when it creates any container, one folder will be created under main root directory. That is, the name would be Raj. It will give a name Raj, and that is a volume. That's why here I have mentioned. See, these two are directories. This one is a directory from your base machine. This one is a directory from your container. It will create, and it will declare these two as volumes, and it will map those volumes. Okay, so there should not be any permission issues, right? So that's what we do here. -. Is equal to true. Will equal to true. That's it. Understood, guys? This one? Understood, everyone? Please respond, guys. Understood or not?
No, sir. I mean.
Oh, see here. I'll repeat. See here. What actually extra I'm doing here? This part only. You forget about this one. This part only extra I'm doing. That means normally I'm creating one content. See here, this is my base machine. This is my base machine. Inside this base machine, I have a folder called ec-user. Now I want to map this folder to one folder from inside container. So while creating container, okay, see, I'm just creating one container from base Ubuntu image. While creating content, see this folder I'm taking from base machine, and so that's what's here. This one from base machine, and one folder I'm taking from container. So one folder would be created under main root. That name is Raj. Will be created. Okay, since we have given this one, that will be mapped, and these two are declared as volumes. That means whatever data you put here in your EC-and user folder, that you can see inside this, whatever data you put here, that you can see. Since there should not be any folder permission level issues, that's why we are given privilege equal to true. Understood this one? Got it now?
Yes.
Okay. So just execute this one. Here, since we do not have image, it is pulling from Docker Hub. Yes, we are inside container. Now if you do ls, you can find the folder called Raj. And this is not just a folder, it's a volume. It's a volume. Now whatever you put here, that you should be able to see in your EC-and user. So what we do, let's create a file. For example, Raj file. Sorry. Where you have to create this one? Inside Raj. Okay. Yeah, that's the volume, right? You cannot create anywhere. Everywhere. We have Raj folder. Now let's create a file inside Raj folder. Raj file. Yes, I have created a file inside Raj folder. Right? Now come out of this container. Now do ls. So here we can see Raj file. Correct or not? Because this you are inside EC-and user, right? This is a folder. You have mapped this folder, right? Now what we do? Let's create a file, one more file. Attach EC2 file. Right? So let's go inside container. Docker start 90 container. Docker attach NAT container. Now do ls, we have Raj folder. Now ls Raj. You can see it, EC2 file. Understood, guys?
Yeah.
Understood this one, everyone? Yeah, that is how we can map a host to container. Now that means, see here, I'll draw here. That means what you have done, your base machine, you have taken one folder from here, you have mapped to this one. And since already volume is here in this container, you can create one more container. Okay, while creating new container, okay, you can map these two as well. That already you know, that already we have seen in our yesterday's class. Correct or not? That means you can map any folder from anywhere. Okay, that means wherever you put data, that you can see from here, you can see from here any other container, everything you can do. Okay, understood, guys? This is what volumes. Okay, container to container, host to container. If you have any doubts, you can ask me in this concept. Any doubts from anyone? No doubts? Okay. So let's come out of this container. So this is one advanced concept, guys. It's one important advanced concept. Okay. And
Sai, I have a question.
Yes, please.
If just in case, if you don't want to, earlier we were mapping volumes, and for any reason, if we don't want to map those,
I mean,
so any process to disconnect that?
Yeah, that you will get. Unmapping command also is here. Let me search in Google. You will find command for each and everything once again. Because once you map, I mean, see, some of the things you won't do in companies. Like for example, in Git, deleting branches, like few things, we generally won't do those things. These things we do just for testing purpose. wait.
Okay.
Or else simply what you can do, simply you delete that folder. That will be unmapped. Understood, right? In a simple way. Command will be there for sure to unmap. If you delete the folder, there won't be any mapping thing, right? Got it?
Yes.
Docker volume commands. Here you will get, definitely you will get one command to delete. Create volume, remove all. See here, Docker volumes. These are command, Docker volumes. These are command, Docker volume prune. Remove all unused local values. Remove one or more volumes. Docker volume RM.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So you can give -F forcefully. Right. Okay. Now, coming to next topic. See here. So okay, this is my EC2 machine. This is my base EC2 machine, and I have a container here. I have a container here. Now, in container is just a machine. This is a container here. This is EC2 machine. Container is just a machine. That means you can go inside container. You can install one web package. You can create a file. You can put some content. Right? We can put some content. That content we should be able to see from in our web pages. Correct or not? If you want to see that content in our web pages, what we have to do, wherever that web package you have installed, the machine in which you have installed web package, that machine's IP, you have to paste in your browser so that you can see the web page. That's what we have seen in AWS initially, right? Okay, that's what we have seen in Chef client as well. I mean, that Chef node as well. There we have seen. Okay, that's what actually we do. So, but you have to understand one thing here is, you will never get an IP address to the container, guys. Container will not have any IP address. No IP address for the container. No IP address for the container. Then how can we see this one, guys, web page? It's difficult, right? How can we see this web page? So it's difficult. It's impossible to see this one, right? Because we need to paste this container's IP address in browser, right? So for that, we have a concept called port mapping. This is one more advanced guys. Port mapping. Earlier we have seen volume mapping. Now we are going to see port mapping. So see here what we do. You don't have IP address to the container, but you have IP address to your base machine, right? EC2 machine, right? So in this case, what actually we do, we take one port from your container. Container will not have IP address, but container will have ports, right? Every machine will have ports. We'll take one port from container, one port from your base machine. Base machine also will have ports. We'll map these two ports. We'll map these two ports. For example, this is a port A, port, port X, it's a port Y. Okay. So what you do in your web page, you take IP address of your base machine, EC2 machine, put a colon and give port X, so that your request will go through this one, it will load that content. That is what we do. Understood, guys? That is how we do port mapping. I'll repeat this one. So this is my base machine. I have a container over here. So I have installed web package. Okay. Container is EC2 machine. Since we won't get any IP address to the container, we cannot directly paste that content's IP in a web page. Okay, we cannot do that. So that's why what we do to get this web page, what we do, we take one port from this machine, base machine, one port from container. For example, it's X, it's a Y. Okay. What we do, we map these two ports. And you know that you have IP address to your base machine. So in this case, what we do, in your web page, in your web browser, what you have to do, type IP address of your base machine and your base machine's port. Why? So your request will go like this. It will load the page. Got it, guys? This is what port mapping. That's what we call port expose. In fact, we call port expose. Better to call port expose. We are exposing the port inside container to outside the world. Okay. Got it, guys?
Sai, one more thing.
Yeah.
Normally, whenever we launch EC2 instance, we'll get one public IP to the EC2 instance. Okay.
Yes.
Again, inside we are running multiple containers. Okay.
Yeah.
There should be communication between base machine to containers. Okay. For this, we required IPs. Either it is public or private IPs. So how do we configure IPs to the containers? Actually?
See, we cannot do that one. I mean, that's a problem in Docker. Right? See, why we are using Kubernetes? What are the problems that we have in Docker? The problems which we are facing in Docker, all problems we are addressing in Kubernetes. So what is Kubernetes? It's an advanced version of Docker. If you want to use Kubernetes, you have to install Docker first. In Kubernetes, we are addressing all these Docker container issues. That means, for example, in Docker container, all containers running separately. Now we are clustering all these containers. So that what are the advantages we are achieving by using Kubernetes? Auto scaling of containers, load balancing of containers, auto healing. If I lose one container, another container should come into that position. Auto healing. And assigning IP address to the container. Assigning IP address to the container. Like all these advantages that we don't get these advantages in Docker. Okay, by default. So by using Kubernetes, we are achieving all these things. Understood, right? That's the purpose we are using Kubernetes. By default, you will not get any IP address to the container. That communication happens through port by default. Port in the sense that is already there in your base machine, right? That's how you know that communication happens automatically. But if you want to see the web page, you have to map port separately.
Okay.
Understood?
So inside containers will communicate only using port numbers only.
Yes, only port numbers only.
That base machine is the main IP.
Yes, main IP. Yes, correct.
And one more thing.
Yes, please.
And one Docker file, can you configure to run multiple containers?
Yeah, any number of containers. That means this is Docker file. You create image. Okay, you create image. From that image, you create a container. From there, you create one more image. You create one more container. Like that.
No, can we write a code like to run multiple containers along with multiple services in one Docker file?
No. That's not possible. Right? That's a problem. That also we are addressing in Kubernetes. Launching multiple containers and clustering those containers. That's what launching multiple. Clustering of multiple containers we call pod here in Kubernetes.
Because my scenario is like I need one web server and I need one some Java server. Okay, I need different servers, but I don't want to build configure multiple Docker files. So when I build one Docker file, I need to run all these containers.
See, from one Docker file, you can create any number of images from that any number of contents. But by using single command, you cannot create more than one Docker container. Understood? Right?
Yeah.
That problem we are addressing in Kubernetes. And we have one, in Docker itself, we have a concept called Docker Swarm. Docker Swarm. So by using also we can do it, but no one is using this one. Instead of this one, we are using Kubernetes. Everyone is using Kubernetes. These are like our same competitors, like AWS and Azure. People are using Kubernetes because we have so many advantages in Kubernetes. That's why no one is using this Docker Swarm to technology. Understood, right?
Again, Kubernetes is service, like we are going to...
It's a new tool. It's a new tool. Based upon Docker, on top of Docker, we are going to install these things.
Okay, sir. Understand.
Yeah.
Sai, I have one question.
Yes, please.
Why we are learning Docker instead of we would directly learn Kubernetes, because Kubernetes has better advantages than Docker?
No. You have to install Kubernetes first. You should install Docker first. You should know the working process of Docker.
See, you say both are tools. Both the tools are of the same company?
No. Docker is a different thing. This Kubernetes belongs to Google.
Okay.
But they have created this tool, Kubernetes, to address the issues that we are facing in Docker.
Yeah, fine. That's the reason I'm asking why we are learning Docker then. Why we need to understand Docker when we can learn advanced tool better than Docker, which is Kubernetes, right?
No. See here, in AWS, we have discussed how to install web server, how to start web server, right? How to install web server. So for that, first we learn how to launch Linux machine, right? Because inside Linux machine only we have installed web package. Same thing, first we should know Docker, because there also we are going to create containers in Kubernetes also. Okay. So whatever you discussed in Docker, on top of that we are going to learn something new. That's what Kubernetes. You understood it?
Does not. Okay, got it. Suppose the person does not learn Docker, then
he will not understand Kubernetes.
Okay.
Okay, simple.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's a kind of prerequisite. Docker is a prerequisite to learn Kubernetes. Okay.
And Docker is of which company then?
Docker belongs to earlier, Docker. So now it's an open source. Docker company released that one earlier. They kept this one open source. That way anyone can take. Kubernetes also, it belongs to Google. Now they have released this one. They kept open to the public.
Okay.
Okay, these are open sources.
Okay.
Okay.
So these are both like free tools, right?
Free. Yes, free. Yeah. Kubernetes, that's why people started using Kubernetes. It's an advanced tool, and thing is that problem in Kubernetes is we don't have proper documentation in Kubernetes, and no one knows about this Kubernetes. In my company also, we just recently started using this one. Even in you take any company, it's a new tool. Okay, no one knows about this one. People started learning this Kubernetes. Nowadays in companies, what they are doing, they are giving sufficient time to learn Kubernetes. Okay, so that's a problem. We don't have proper documentation here. There is no guide, proper guidance, with respect to Kubernetes. For example, if you take AWS, we have perfect documentation in AWS. If at all you get any doubt, if you want to learn more, we have proper documentation. That in a simple language. But that's not the case with Kubernetes. Okay, that's a problem because it's a new one, right? If it is old one, definitely someone they'll create proper documentation, everything they'll provide. But that's not the case. And thing is that it's an open source, right? Since it's open source, no one cares about this one. So community people, they should maintain, like you, me, anyone, okay, who is having helping nature, they should provide all these documents. But it's AWS, right? AWS is something different. That's a company. They have to provide the document. But it's an open source, right? You won't get sufficient documentation. You have to search in Google here and there, and you need to get that information. So that's a problem with Kubernetes now. Okay. So coming to port expose. So what I'm going to do now. Okay, so let's just launch one container. See here. Docker run -td -name. I'll tell you what is the TD and all. Okay, for example, web container. Container name I give web container. -p 80:80. 1, 2. Okay. See here. What actually I'm doing. Now here we are learning two things at a time. So instead of T, you mention I. -it or TI, both are same. Meaning you can reverse these flags. Docker and -it, -name, contain name. See what we are doing. We are mapping the port. We are mapping the port. That means here, the first port is from your host machine, base machine. The second one, it is from your container. Even though a previous command as well, volume mapping, -v, first one you have given the volume from your base machine, second one only container. So first reference is a container, second one belongs to, first one belongs to base machine, host. Second one belongs to container. So we are mapping these ports, 80 ports from your host machine to container. D means, instead of I, we are mentioning D. D means daemon, daemonized container. If you give I, you will be inside the container. Okay, without going inside the container, you want to create a container, you want to run that container. That time we give D. Earlier I told you, right? Someone asked, Sai, how to create container without going inside the container? Okay, this is how we do it. D, instead of I, you mention D. Okay, it's a daemonized container. You won't be inside the container. If you give I means interactive mode, you'll be inside the container. But if you give D means daemonized container. So you won't be inside container, but container will be running at backend. Okay, since we are not going inside the container, we don't need initial because you are not at all interacting with the container. No need to create initial. That's why we are not giving any bin and bash. Okay. So see here, you understood this one? The first port from, you take any port guys, that's up to you. Okay, since it's a web package, right? So we are taking default ports. It is a default port, right? So always give first preference to default ports. Then if it is not available, then you can choose any other port. Okay. So
Sai?
Yes.
This command will not run any container. Just it will assign port to the existing container.
No, it will create container. This container is not there. In my base machine, it will take one Ubuntu base image. It will create a container. It will map the port. You are creating container. See, Docker and -90. TD name, container name, Ubuntu. It will create a container.
But without bin bash, it won't create naturally.
No. Bin bash we need to mention for you to go inside this one, to interact with that shell.
Okay.
But you are not interacting with the shell, right?
We'll just create it.
Yes.
But Sai, how we can create the web package in that?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to show now.
Okay, sure.
Enter. See here, you have created container, but you are not inside the container, right? So let's see. Docker PS. See here, web container is running, and we have mapped 80 port to 80 of container. Okay, now container is running at backend. Now we want to go inside container. Now we want to go inside container. Okay, so for that, what is the command, guys, to go inside container? Anyone?
Docker attach.
Yes, because container is already running, you need not to start this container again. It's already running. So we have a command called docker attach. Apart from that, we have one more command by using which we can go inside container. That is docker exec. Remember, guys, these two commands, because sometimes interviewer might be knowing only one command. Okay, if you say enter command, he might not be knowing this, and then he will think that you are saying something wrong. Okay, so we have two commands through which we can go inside the container: docker attach as well as docker exec. If you give docker exec, you need to give -it. Okay, because you are interacting with this one, right? Here you need to give IT, but there docker attach you need not to give -it. That's it. Docker exec, this one. And what's my container? Web container. That's it. Simple. And since there is no bash shell inside this one, okay, so now we need to give this one bin bash, because earlier we haven't given, right? If you had given there, you need not to give here, but you haven't given there, right? You need to give here. Okay, and one more thing, I told you, right? Double slash is not required. Just for safer side we are giving. That's also not required. I told you, right? Okay, now see, press enter. See, where are you now? Now inside container. Instead of creating bash shell there, we are creating here itself while going inside the container. Because when we need this one, when you want to go inside the container, then only you need this one, right? Okay, so here we learned 3 to 4 things, guys. 3 to 4 things we learned here. I'll explain those things. One is, there also in Chef also, we have learned how to create wrapper cookbook. At the same time, we have learned how to use Chef client cookbook. How to automate this one, right? In a single concept. The same thing here also. How to create daemonized container. Instead of why you mentioned D, that's it. Container will be created. Daemonized container. And So we need not give bin and bash. If you are not entering inside the container, need not give. And how to go inside the container. Anyways, attach it is here. Apart from that, we have learned exec to go inside container. Okay. So while going inside container, you need to give bin bash. That's what we learned. And we learned port mapping as well. Port mapping. That one port from your host, one port from container. All these things we learned in these two commands. Okay. So now you are inside the container. We have mapped the port. Now see here, this container is blank. Nothing is it. We need to install some packages. Right? Okay, the web package, we need to create some file and all those things. Now observe guys, this one, already you know how to install web package in Linux. Now that's why intentionally I have taken Ubuntu image. Because we should be familiar with Ubuntu image as well, Ubuntu as well. Okay, so first thing if it is here, this Ubuntu that you know, cat etc os-release is Ubuntu. Now how to deal with Ubuntu, how to install web package or anything in Ubuntu. The first command, you need not run sudo because already you are root. Next command, here we used to run yum update minus -5, right? Yum update -5. So here also we need to run yum update. But yum is only for Red Hat family. But if it is Ubuntu family, then we need to use apt-get. That's the only difference. Apt-get update. Okay. And get update. That's it. Instead of yum, you use apt-get case. Just remember that one. Fine. Instead of yum, you use apt-get. That's it. So there we used to give the command yum install httpd. But here apt-get install. Now here the package name is not httpd. Apache 2. I think I have given the list, right? I mean that family which I'll write here in a second. There are two families broadly: Red Hat family, Debian family, Amazon Linux, Red Hat Enterprise Linux. CentOS comes under Red Hat family. In Debian family, we have Ubuntu. If you want to install web package in this family, httpd. If you want to install web package here, the package name is Apache 2. If it is Windows, you install Tomcat. That's it. Since we are taking this one now we need to install this one, Apache 2. Okay. Apache 2. Enter.
Sai, Tomcat is only in Windows, sir. It will not
Yeah, Windows. That also we are going to see. Now see here we have installed web package. Now remaining things are same as cd var www html. Inside same, let's create a file. Echo. I'll create a file, I'll put some content, for example, hello. Okay. Yes, we have created a file. Now we need to start the service. What is the package name? Not httpd. Apache 2 start. That's it. Starting Apache 2. When you update operation, so let's see. Sometimes if at all it is showing such kind of error, you this one restart. That will restart the service. Okay. It's not an error, guys. Whatever is the same thing, it is also showing the same thing. It's not actually error. What is showing? systemctl. I mean, I'll show that one. Apache 2 CTL. See, in older versions here, in older versions of here, center use.
We are not able to hear you properly.
Is it for everyone, guys?
Yes, sir.
Oh. So what about now, guys? What about now?
Yeah, it's now good.
Now it's good, right? Yeah. Connection about it. There was some network issue. Yes, that's the reason. So you understood what I said, what I have explained here. So that families you understood, right? Which package you need to install where? Guys, you understood that one?
Yes.
Yeah, fine. So we have started this service as well, right? Now, fine. Now what we do, just take this public IP, this base machine public IP, and paste here, colon 80. Right, that's what. See here, you can see here. Like that. Like that you can map a port from container to your base machine. Okay, that's how we do it. Understood, right? That's how. And this is what port. So what we'll do, we'll take one more image, just for testing purpose. Okay, so that you'll get confidence. So what we'll do, I'll take one more. Okay, I'll take one more image. So we have an image called Jenkins, guys. That anyways we are going to see later on. In Docker Hub, we have an image called Jenkins.
Sai,
Yeah.
every container should have a different port, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm coming to that one. See here,
Okay.
port. That just couple of seconds. I mean, I'm going to explain that one. Because I'm going to take new image, right? Then I'll explain that one. See here, we have an image called Jenkins. Anyways, we are going to see this Jenkins later on. So I have an image called Jenkins, right? So Jenkins also same thing. What we do, everything you do with respect to Jenkins is in web page only. Web page only. So for that we need to map. For example, if I install Jenkins in a container, how can you access through web page only? So we need to map a port. So what we do here, just create this on Docker run -td and Jenkins container -p. So Jenkins default port is 8080, guys. Okay, so that's why I'm taking default ports. You need not to take both ports are same. You can take different ports, but first preference give to default ports. Okay. Now, what is that image? Jenkins. Okay. Now see here, it is pulling the Jenkins. What happened? Docker is not running. Okay, so see, Docker service Docker started. Yeah. Now, oh, sorry. So tell me, guys, what was the mistake here? Anyone? Any mistake in this command? You have mentioned hyphen name. Okay, Docker run -td -name contain name -p. That's all. Now we have mentioned, forget to mention this. Now it is pulling images. These are the layers, guys. That means we are taking Jenkins here. Here, actually, I'll tell you what actually happened here. What is happening here? Someone has taken base, CentOS or Ubuntu, could be anything. For example, let's say Ubuntu. Someone has taken base Ubuntu from Docker Hub. He has installed Docker, created container. He has installed Java. He has installed Jenkins. From that, he has created an image. That image he pushed it to Docker Hub. This image we have taken this image right now. That's why it is pulling all these layers one by one. See, it has pulled all these layers. Okay, to install Jenkins, first Java is prerequisite. Okay, so we have created a container. Now let's go inside container. Docker exec -it. So what is the container? Jenkins container, right? And yeah, bin. One thing, you don't even go inside the container because Jenkins is already running, right? Okay, so we need not install anything because by default everything will be there inside. Just we need to take that image, and already we have executed that command. Only one command is. See, this already executed. Now, what else we need to do is only one thing. See here, go to security groups because we need to open that 8080 port as well, right? In your base machine. Then only it will allow your request. We have opened 80 and 22 only. 8080 also we need to open, right, from your base machine. So add a rule here, give that name 8080. Okay, that's it. 8080. Click on save. That's it. What do you do? This anyways IP of your base machine. Give :8080. And you should be able to see Jenkins. That is how we see Jenkins. Simple. How fast, we got this. You understood, guys? So coming to your doubt, if a container is there, I have a base machine. I have mapped this 8080. One more container is here. I have mapped 8080. 8080. Okay. So same port, if I want to map some other container, same port 8080, that you cannot do because already this mapped with this one. What you do, you take some other port, you map like that. If you stop this container or if you delete this container, automatically that mapping will be removed. The link will be deleted. Understood this one? This was your doubt, right? Someone was asking some doubt.
Yeah.
That is how we do it.
Okay.
Okay. So see here, to install Jenkins in Windows or Linux, it takes minimum 10 minutes. In fact, more than that, because we need to install Java, set Java path, install Jenkins, setting Java Jenkins path, and all those things, nonsense we need to. But here, that's the advantage of Docker. That's the advantage of Docker. Okay, see here, just that's for replication of same environment. How fast it is. Just we have taken that image itself directly. See here, this image itself, we have created container. That's it. Now container is running at backend because we have given D. Port got already mapped. Okay, so just IP address :8080. We can see that Jenkins page. Okay, that's how we do it. Yes, very, very easy, Docker. Okay. So this is what port mapping. Okay, any doubts here? Make sure you should open the port here. That is, whatever port you are using, you are mapping that port of base machine first. You need to open it. Then only your request first will go inside base machine, right? That's why we open 8080. If you forget to open 8080 here, then you cannot see the web page. Okay, like that.
Sai, can you brief about this port actually? Say by default, web server port is 80.
Yeah.
So how it will forward to the to the container, like when we are accessing from the outside with port number, how it will forward into that container?
No, it is actually mapping those two ports. One port from here, one port from here. It is mapping this is a base machine. It is mapping so that your request is going. See, request will go inside through ports only, right? If you open HTTP, then only you can see that web page. I mean, your request is going inside the port. So that port, it will redirect that port to this container port because we have mapped these two. So that here you can see that web page. That is what it works.
If you are not giving port number, that will access from the base machine.
Yes, yes. If you don't map any port, that if any web page is that will access your web page, your base machine web page only.
Okay.
Like that. Just we are diverting that route to some other machine through this port mapping concept.
Sai, one question. So, my base machine also have a Jenkins which is running on port 8080, and and I have container with the Jenkins image. We also have ported to the same port, that is 8080 with the base machine. So if I execute this IP address colon 8080, which Jenkins will start? Will the base machine Jenkins will start, or containers Jenkins will start?
See here, first preference it will give to base machine only.
Okay, got it.
Okay, first preference. If not, then it will give preference.
Okay.
But that never happens. I mean, we won't do these things, right? Generally.
No, for testing purpose, we generally do
yes.
on the local Jenkins, and then we push the container. So that's what I wanted.
Yes, sir. First, it will give preference to this one. Yeah.
So maybe it's not a relevant question now, but since we installed Jenkins in this is a master, right? This is a master Jenkins master.
Yes, this is a Jenkins. Yeah.
But how we can configure the slaves for this one, like because it's in container, right?
Yeah. That's a big topic. Don't worry. That anyways, that is there in my next classes.
I'm just confused because it's in the containers.
Yeah. I'll explain that one.
Okay, sure.
In Jenkins class. Okay. Because first people the others get confused here. To explain Jenkins now. Okay. Yeah. So any doubts, guys? In today's class, we have seen volume, that is container to container mapping, host to container mapping, and port expose that we have seen. In tomorrow, we have one more final advanced topic. One more topic is there. Okay, that is creating our own local Docker registry, so that we can store our own private images and all, so that we can share our images. Okay, that's a one more final advanced topic. Okay, so no GUI for Docker. No GUI for Docker in Linux. So tomorrow we are going to see one more advanced concept called port expose, and after that few more commands are there. Few small concepts are there that we are going to see tomorrow. Okay. So
one more thing. You given port 8080. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you give some other port like 90:90? Like it won't take, right?
Yeah, you can give other port as well. If this port is busy, you can give other port as well. That's what tomorrow also I'm going to do the same thing. So tomorrow's concept also I'm going to take one more port. Okay. Yes. You can give another port as well. That will work.
At least service port should be given. No? At least 80 should be given. Yeah,
because 80 is a default port. Thing is that 80 is a default port. We can give other port as well. Why we are giving 80? See here, if you give IP address, for example, you take IP address. If you take IP, if you paste here, you need not give :80. Why? Because by default it will look for port 80. If you don't give 80 as well. You understood, right?
Okay.
Because the default port is 80. Okay. If you change the port, you need to give the port like this. Got it? Like that. That's why generally we take default ports. Okay. Whenever default word comes here, we need not give that one. We need not mention explicitly. For example, in chef as a default.rb, we need not to mention. That's why by default it will look. And Docker file. Default file is Docker file. We need not to mention the name of the Docker file. Like that. Got it?
Yes.
Okay. So that's it, guys. That's it for today. So tomorrow, please.
Like tomorrow is Holi, so you will be conducting class, right?
Tomorrow is Holi.
Sai, I have a question.
Tuesday and Thursday. Tomorrow Holi.
Sai?
Yes, please.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
How we can connect Amazon services on Docker? If, for example, RDS or something.
Amazon services in Docker. So RDS is a no. How can we connect? RDS is Amazon's provided database, right? It's a fully managed database by Amazon.
Yes.
Okay. So that they are giving that RDS server itself as a one machine itself directly.
So we cannot connect that to Docker?
Connect in the sense you can see, you can create a Docker container as a web server, and you can connect that one to RDS database server. Okay. So like these kind of connections you can do. Yeah, that we can do that. I mean, how we are connecting, that is important, right? Okay.
Okay.
We can do it. We can do it. Got it?
Yes.
So tomorrow, Holi, right, is official. I mean, okay, guys, I'll let you know about tomorrow. Okay.
Sai, one question. Chef, in Chef also we'll do installations, software installations on a machine, and Docker also we can do software installation on a machine, right? So, what is it both comparable or how?
No, not at all. Docker is a just machine. We use Docker to create a machines.
Okay.
We use to install some packages.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, both are different.
Okay.
Okay, so that's it, guys. I'll let you know in your WhatsApp. Please, look for my WhatsApp message. Okay.
Sai, you'll also paste the link for that Docker download, right? You had said. Sai? Sai?
I guess we lost him.
Oh, no, I mean he's still sharing the screen, no?
Yeah, he's sharing, but his mouse is not moving. So I guess he got disconnected.
Okay.